Being a fresher, looking out for your favorite career and your dream job can sometimes get overwhelming and catch you off guard. Now, accounting to many factors that may hinder your success in finding your first job and to make sure that you are up and running with a career after college, we here at Great Learning have come up with this video guiding you all on the top 10 job tips for freshers in the year 2021 and beyond. Before we begin with the video, let me take a second and tell you about Great Learning Academy. We started this venture to provide free courses and certification across a variety of domains, be it data science, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, machine learning, and a lot more. We have courses in Hindi as well. And these courses are taught by subject matter experts, and I'm sure as freshers, you will know the value that a certificate adds to your resume and its impact. So make sure to check out Great Learning Academy. Further details about this is put up in the description box below. Now on that note, if you guys are new to the Great Learning channel, do take a second to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. And if you enjoy the content, we would appreciate it if you could like the video and share it among your friends and family members who just graduated as well. Now coming to the agenda of this session, here are the key takeaways from this. We'll begin this by understanding what job analysis is and why it is required. And then once you understand why job analysis is required, right, you will see the result of it. So I'll also portray and show the result of what happens if you do not perform job analysis. And this is a very important point in the agenda. And after which, coming to the Centerlight, we'll be talking about the top 10 job tips for freshers in 2021 and beyond. We're going to be covering each tip to a certain degree of detail, and it's going to be an amazing set of tips that I think you all should take a note of with a pen and paper handy. And of course, lastly, to round up the entire session, we can talk about the job analysis summary and just take a look back at everything we've checked out through the session. And now, without further ado, let's get started with the first item on the agenda. So whenever we talk about tips coming towards finding jobs, especially for freshers, you do have to know something what we call as job analysis. Now, with job analysis, it is really important that you understand the job that you're applying for. Now, to get you started really quick, since you guys are freshers, it is extremely important that you're on your toes whenever it comes to job requirements and to make sure that you jump in on the requirements, because there are hundreds of job openings right now. But the goal here is to make sure you find the correct opportunity that is right for you, where you can start a career in and of course work your way towards that as well. But since there are hundreds of job openings, there's a lot of domains, you do have to put in a good amount of time to make sure that you know what you're getting into and that you're using your time wisely. So it is at this phase that it is very important for you guys as freshers to look towards job analysis and to understand how to get into a career domain very quick, because as I just mentioned, there's multiple domains and all the companies go on a hiring spree, especially during these months of graduation. So it is extremely vital that you know what it is that you have to do and then work towards that. But then what happens if there is no analysis, and what happens if you just, let's say, go with the flow? Well, sometimes I can tell you that chasing jobs can lead to dead ends, because here, if you do not analyze where you're getting into, one thing is that you will have no focus of where to build your career in and what you have to do. And this will have a very bad impact on your motivation, because at the end of the day, you will feel that, you might not be good for a career domain in which you're absolutely good at, to be honest. So make sure to use all of these tips to move away from the early career confusion. And one very important thing is that in the post-pandemic world, you really do not have the luxury of time, because companies will go back on a hiring spree. There will be thousands of job openings, open, and it is extremely vital that you look towards that. And now coming to the first tip, you really have to begin by understanding the career market, right? Now, since we're going through a pandemic, you might think that the market is extremely volatile and it might add to the confusion of your career choice. But let me tell you otherwise, because all the industries right now are really bouncing back rapidly from the pandemic in a way that we never thought might happen this quick. And of course, since we've gone through a pandemic, the world now appreciates the power of computing, the power of IT, and how both of these can be used in medicine as well. So if you have a keen interest towards computing and to provide solutions for medicine, this is the right time to jump on that. And as you might already know, we have immense number of artificial based solutions coming out now. So if you have an incline towards that career, it is absolutely the right time to jump on that. And lastly, this should come to you in an easy fashion because the number of job openings right now are rapidly increasing. And with this session, it is very vital that you understand where you're getting towards and use these tips to maximize, your presence to potential hirers out there. This brings us to tip number 2, which is job search platforms. Now, you do have to know about all these top platforms where you can make yourself visible to hirers. Now, there are many job platforms out there, but the job platforms that have the maximum impact are these 4. You have LinkedIn, you have Naukri.com, Shine.com, and of course you have Indeed as well. So going through all of these and understanding how these platforms themselves work and how you can reach out to potential hirers, and of course how can people get to see what you have done throughout college, what projects you have involved in, and all of these would require some work of knowing the platform itself. So it is extremely vital that you check out these platforms, get on them, and talk about what you have done in college and tell people. You need to be able to market yourself subtly as a fresher. This brings us to tip number 3, which is understanding job descriptions. Now, there are in many cases that happens so where you would not understand the job descriptions completely, or sometimes the job description might be asking for something more than what you can provide. This happens a lot, and it is very vital that you know the roles that you're applying for and move away from certain job descriptions where there are certain excessive requirements which a fresher cannot provide, of course. But now there is another way to look at this. If you are certified, if you have a good number of projects under your belt, there's a very good chance you might be able to meet these excessive requirements as well. But do talk to the experts who are in the same designation that you're looking for, understand how you would fit into the domain well. But with all of this, make sure that you are keeping away from certain HR clickbait where they try to pitch a job which might be asking for something else entirely when you move into the organization. So you have to be very careful in understanding the job description and talking to people who actually are in that domain with the same designation, with the same job that you're looking for as well. Coming to point number 4, this is an extremely important point where we talk about internship experience. See, internships are something which will add a lot of value to your knowledge, and it does it very quick as well. So how can you use this point to maximum efficiency? One thing you really have to know is that you have to apply for multiple internships because there's hundreds of companies out there providing internships. And if you just stick to one, there is a good chance you might not be able to make it, right? So make sure to apply for multiple ones. And it is not only this. One important tip that not a lot of people know is that you can actually use the existing employee referrals from friends or family members who work for the company itself. And again, here is where your presence on LinkedIn, your connections with your friends and family matter a lot. So use those referrals and increase your chances of landing that internship. Of course, this involves first finding your favorite domain and then looking for internships into it. And it's not that you just find it, apply for it, and you're approved. There will be an interview for internships, so make sure to prep for these internship interviews as well. It's not going to be as hard as a complete job interview, but it is going to be something close as that. So it is very vital that you're prepared for all the questions that will get asked. So this brings us to point number 5, which is technical assets. Now, one thing for sure you really have to know is that as a fresher out of college, the experience you might have in college is something which is very different from what's required in the industry. In the industry, there is a requirement for production knowledge and how you can align yourself to be working in a production environment. Now, in that particular case, what helps a lot is a certification program which will provide a wealth of information for you guys, and of course, a certificate will add value to your resume as well. Now, you have multiple places where you can keep your learning up and of course get certified as well. Great Learning Academy is one of these ventures where we're providing out free course certification among multiple courses in multiple domains. So make sure to check that out. And you have our comprehensively put together YouTube channel, and you have Great Learning blogs as well. Apart from this, you have the commonplace, which is the textbooks. Textbooks also give you a good amount of knowledge, but then coming to the convenience of learning and the addition of certifications, I would highly recommend that you guys check out Great Learning Academy, YouTube channels, and of course other blogs aspects of things. Now, once you have your technical assets ready, it is extremely important that you match the skills that you have to all the job openings that are out there. Now, this is a very important gap that must be bridged if you are looking to land a job, because sometimes what happens is that you do have a skill which the job requirement is not looking for, or the vice versa as well. In this particular case, you really have to brainstorm and learn through what the requirements are to see if your skills match the job. But sometimes it might not, and you might choose to abandon highly demanding jobs, but do not do so. In many cases, even though they are asking for a lot more than what you might be able to provide, there's a very good chance you might be able to crack the requirements because you might have certain other skill sets in play. And of course, here being certified is very important if there are critical requirements. Now, if you're applying for a Python developer role, you really have to know Python, right? In this case, being certified in Python is a primary requirement. Now, being certified in the primary requirements such as Python is going to make sure that you outshine your competition itself. So make sure you weigh in all the requirements correctly, perform certain assessment to see if your skills can bridge the gap between the job openings, and if it can, do proceed. But if it do not, make sure you at least try, but do not directly abandon the high demanding roles. This brings us to point number 7, where you really have to watch out for certain red flags. Now, in many cases, as it might happen, there are certain discrepancies which are always there, and you as a fresher who has not been exposed into the world of jobs or the industries might not know about it. So it's extremely vital that in certain cases you really do not have to be duped or cheated or swindled upon, because in many cases what happens is that there are certain details about the company which is insufficient, or something doesn't add up, or the job description is completely throw you off. In that case, be wary that it's a red herring, that it's a red flag. And next thing is that there's going to be unreasonable expectation from freshers in certain job descriptions, and you do have to work your way away from this in the opposite direction. But understand this, now there might be certain things which are not all right about a company or a job role itself. If the same job role is appearing multiple times, even though you might have applied for it, you've been rejected for it or whatnot, because it means that that particular designation in that company is not stable, and that people who are coming there are not staying. So make sure you look out for that. And lastly, there are certain companies who would not pay you during these training session, and that is considered unethical in many books. But of course, do look out for these as well, because as a fresher, I'm sure all of you are excited to get your first paycheck. And this brings us to point number 8, which is resume creation. Resume is one of these things that's going to make a world of a difference in your career, because this is 2 or 3 sheets of paper that's going to tell everything about you to the interviewer even before you meet them. So it's very vital that you put all the information there in a concise way, in a clear way. Now the important point about creating your resume is to make sure you highlight all your key skills. So make sure to put certain things down which you're really good at as well, because this is going to make the world of a difference that I've been mentioning. And since you're a fresher, people will be looking about your educational qualification and of course your certification. So make sure to highlight that and put an emphasis on it. Now, an internship experience is going to add a lot of value as well. And of course, to land the internship experience, you're going to require certain knowledge, and good amount of knowledge can be obtained from all the methods I've told before. And of course, certification being the key player there too. So make sure you work on your resume, given an ample amount of time to create the best resume that you can, which is clear, where it shows everything there is to know about you. This brings us to point number 9, which is fresher interview preparation. Understand this. Whenever you go for your first job, there are a lot of people who are similar to you who just graduated out of college applying for that job itself, in case if it's highly coveted. So expect a good amount of competition there. But to come ahead of all of these competition, it is extremely vital that you spend a good amount of time preparing for these interviews, be it interview questions, be it challenges, be it whatever is required for that particular role. Now, the second thing you can do to give yourself an edge is to make sure you associate with experts who have been in this domain for a really long time. And I'm sure that they can help you out with all the tricky questions that you might be faced with during an interview. And getting insights about the working environment for the job that you're applying for, that particular company or that industry, will definitely give you clarity if in case you choose to proceed with the interview. So it is extremely vital that you know about the company, know about the job description, and always getting an offhand knowledge from all the experts out there who are doing the same thing is going to give you this kind of a push in the competition lane. This brings us to our last tip, which is a very important tip where we talk about peer level connections. Now, as soon as you graduate out of college, it is very important that you still stay in touch with your professors and college mates as well. Now, being an alumni of the college and staying in touch with the college itself is very important, because here you still have your faculty who can give you a ton of advice and good amount of guidance to build your career upon. Now, there are many things where multiple domains through which you can start your career and work on it. But in case if you ever feel like you require more education and you need to build upon your knowledge base in a very serious way, and if you're being very serious about your career and you realize that you need to add a wealth of knowledge more to your already existing knowledge base, it is extremely important that you look towards post-graduation as well. Now, since we're living in a world of technology, online post-graduation programs have taken the world by a storm. There are multiple post-graduation programs out there, and we highly recommend you look towards that in case if you want to advance your career and want to look towards furthering improve your knowledge as well. Now, to round it all up, let's talk about the job analysis summary, because here is where we bring together all the good things out there. Guys, it is very important that you research about the company you're applying for and know everything there is to know about that company via reading online, talking to people who have been there, and of course getting advice from your peers as well. And know this, having projects will add exponential value to your resume, and as a fresher, your resume is the most important piece of documentation that you can have. And of course, a good certification program is going to present you with projects as well, so it is worth checking out definitely. And then make sure you work on your online presence if you're looking at an IT career as well, because here it is very important that you market yourself, as I mentioned in one of those points. And lastly, make sure to work on your dreams, because at the end of the day, if you're looking for a career where you're happy, where you're enjoying, and you're having an impact on the world, you're doing something you love. There's a very famous quote which says, if you're doing something you love, you don't have to work a day in your career. So on this note, I wish you all the very best for your job hunt, and you can get access to many other tips, interview preparation tools, and a wealth of knowledge about all the domains that you might be able to look for at Great Learning Academy. So I would highly suggest you check it out. So on this note, you've come to the end of the session. Now, on that note, if you guys are new to the Great Learning channel, do take a second to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon.